Hey everyone, and welcome to our Zoom Thursday. We're excited that you're with us tonight. Tonight is exciting because we're talking about faith and Greek life. So we have some exciting people with us that I cannot wait to introduce. But first, I'll introduce myself. I'm Julie Mincy, and I serve Samford as the Director of Greek Life. So thank you for being with us. I have my office partner with us, and let him introduce himself.
Thanks, Julie. Hey, y'all, glad you're here joining us tonight. My name is Luis Aponte, and I serve Samford as the Assistant Director of Greek Life.
Awesome. So tonight we're going to be talking about faith and Greek life, and we have our spiritual life staff with us. So they're going to be hanging out with us, answering some questions, and then we also have students with us, and then we want to answer any questions that you have. So tonight, if you will put those questions in the live chat, we will get to those at the end of our kind of pre-submitted questions. So how about we kick things off with our students introducing yourselves, and then we'll move on to staff introductions, and then we'll keep asking you guys some questions. So John, Cody, how about you first?
Awesome.
Tell us who you are.
Hey guys, so my name is John Cody Petitfils, and I am an upcoming, current junior now at Samford, and I am a communication studies major with a social entrepreneurship and nonprofit management minor.
That's awesome. All right. Miss Jarece, how about you next? Tell us a little bit about you.
Hey, I'm Jarece Tillery. I am a current senior at Samford University and a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And I am a journalism and mass communication major with double concentrations in broadcast and public relations and a communication studies minor. So yes, that's a mouthful.
Okay, yes, mouthful. I think everyone was thinking that when you were saying it. That's awesome. All right, Sarah, how about yourself?
Hey y'all, I'm Sarah Binder. I am a senior education major. Yeah.
Sarah, we're glad you're with us. Okay, and we also have a recent alumni with us who's on the phone. Sam, can you say hey?
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Sam Zoldak. I just graduated, surprisingly, due to the coronavirus. But I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and now I live in Mobile, Alabama, working as a private equity operator and real estate developer.
Awesome. Thanks for joining. So let's meet our spiritual life team, and we'll get to know them a little bit more. How about our university minister, Bobby? Will you share a little bit about you?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody. It's good to be with you. Bobby Gatlin, university minister, campus pastor, pick another name, doesn't matter to me. Was in local church ministry for a long time, the last 16 or so years over in Atlanta, Georgia area. Came to Samford about a year and a half ago, and we're excited to get to speak to you guys and looking forward to meeting you soon.
And something exciting you've done is build your team. So you have two staff members with you tonight, Mallory and Todd. Mallory, will you share a little bit about you?
Absolutely. Hey guys, my name is Mallory.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're good now.
Awesome. My name is Mallory, and I have been on the team for a little over 3 months now, so pretty new. I also came from local church ministry, so I'm from Auburn, Alabama, went to school there, and then worked in a church in Texas, and then most recently a church in Nashville. And so I'm excited to be on the team and excited to be here with y'all tonight.
Awesome. Glad to have you. All right, Todd, how are you? Tell us a little bit about you.
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on. My name's Todd Oakley. So similar to them, I'm the newest hire to the team. I started less than a month ago. So, my previous life, I grew up in Atlanta and then went to Samford actually as a student. I won't put how many years ago just to put my age out there, but no, my wife and I both graduated from Samford in the class of 2008, I believe. And then I've been in church ministry world as a student college pastor, serving for the last 13 years doing that. And so this is an awesome opportunity. We're excited to be a part of this team. Glad to be on the spiritual life team back at my alma mater. Getting to serve in this role is obviously something I never could have imagined as a student. But we're excited about this team and the opportunity that we have to hopefully engage. And I was also in Greek life as a Samford student. And so obviously that plays an important part of my Samford story as well. So thanks for letting me be a part.
Yes, absolutely. So, Bobby, you have Samford students of your own, and we're talking to freshmen, and they are really excited about joining the Samford family, being here in the fall. So, what's the best way to get connected to a campus minister or someone in your office, and they just want an adult to kind of be a spiritual mentor to them? Like, what are some advice and tips that you would have?
Yeah, so the coolest thing about a Christian university that I've only been around about a year and a half, so I'm learning a lot, just like a freshman would come in and learn and experience new people and lots of new things. What I've learned is that there are so many people on campus, including the Office of Spiritual Life staff and some of those student leaders that we have circled around, but so many people in different offices who are more than excited to sit down and talk through hard decisions that you're having, struggles that you may have, excitements that you experience, or just to answer whatever questions. And the same way that as you have gone through high school, maybe there's been a couple of adults that you've sort of been poured into through their concern for you, and that could have been through school, could have been through church, but man, there's so many incredible people, and some of those are professors, some of the other staff members, whether it's the folks in the Greek life office, the folks over in the counseling office and the care office, so many different people in the admissions team as you've gotten to know them, some of those coaches, the leadership, the president, some of the vice presidents, any of those folks, they're not untouchable. They would love to sit down with you and to hear what's happening. Obviously, there are a lot of busy people, so they can't just do that all the time, but really would advise you, the question of how, you've got to learn to use email. That's one of the craziest things about working in the college now, is that you can't just text a professor all the time, but they are religious with emails. And so it's super easy to set up an appointment and connect with someone. A lot of times, especially for our staff and some of the others, you just stop by the office. You make yourself available, check in on us. We may not always be able to talk in that moment, but we will make time, because that's why we're here on campus, to get to know you and to help you work through any issues or problems, or just to chat, to see how things are going, to maybe encourage you if you're having one of those days. But just know that from the security officers to the athletic facilities over into the classrooms and beyond, there really are some pretty cool people that you can sit down and talk to, and to hear about their faith, and for them to get to know you and to really challenge you while you're at Samford.
That's right. I mean, I think the Greek life staff is pretty cool. So
Absolutely.
Yes, come and hang out with us. We want to get to know you. Okay, Mallory, I have a great question for you that I'm sure a lot of our freshmen are wondering. So they are entering Samford, and maybe they chose Samford really to deepen their faith as a college student. So what's your advice, or what would you tell someone who's really interested in diving deeper into their spiritual life, their faith journey, and how they can go about that?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways that you can grow your faith. And I think the biggest thing to know as you start your freshman year is that this is your opportunity to own your faith. And so as a freshman, you get to make decisions to grow your faith. And so it takes a little responsibility as a freshman. And one way to do that is through the local church. There are so many local churches in Birmingham. You could not attend them all if you tried. There are so many options. And so with that, we're here to help you figure out where to get plugged in. Any help that we can offer you just about our local churches, we want to do, because there are churches who exist to serve you and who really need Samford students and college students plugged into their congregations. And then, of course, there are ways on Samford's campus to grow your faith as well. One of those ways is to look for older student mentors. You can look for adult mentors. there are opportunities, like Bobby said, just to, make connections with your professors, with the faculty and staff, but also we create these opportunities for you through our office. And so that could be through a freshman retreat, that could be through small group options that we have. And as you've heard, our team is new, so we're in the process of creating and developing new ways for you to be in community with one another, with other people on campus. And so pay attention to those opportunities that come up. And I think it's really just about being vulnerable, jumping into new things, and just not being afraid to show up to something, even if you're not quite sure what it's about. But at the end of the day, like, we're here to help you. We're here to help you get plugged in. But like I said, you're not just going to grow because you're on a Christian campus. It does require effort. And so just the more that you invest, the more that you're going to grow and see your faith develop as you go through your freshman year.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, Todd, you let the cat out the bag. You were Greek.
Sorry.
You're Greek. You had a fraternity experience while you're at Samford. So talk to us a little bit about how you can be a leader in Greek life and also be a leader in spiritual life, that be a part of, every aspect in the classroom, outside of the classroom. And if you have a personal experience, please, by all means, share that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that kind of a misconception people maybe have with the Office of Spiritual Life on Samford's campus is kind of like that it's just kind of one piece of the puzzle that you can just, some people, it's kind of an option for you to choose and be a part of. And really our goal is to help you understand that the spiritual life of campus kind of encompasses all facets of campus. It's a holistic approach to your spiritual walk. And so that includes Greek life, that includes academic and athletics and all the different fields and places that you would maybe find yourself being involved on campus. And so we want to have a reach to all students in that way. And Greek life is definitely a big part of Samford's DNA. Obviously, I can speak from a little bit of experience to do that. And so unique things for me as a student was I was able to kind of blend those things. I was the chaplain of my fraternity for a couple of years and things like that. And so, but even now, probably more than ever, trying to set a tone for what the spiritual life looks like with our new team kind of in place and getting there is we want Greek life to be shown and represented in our spiritual life in campus as well. So that's small group leaders, that's freshman retreat leaders. We need leaders who are from Greek life to step up into the spiritual role to say, hey, how do we balance these things? And then to sit there and go back and be kind of an extension of the spiritual office, I guess, in a sense, to their fraternity and sorority sisters, and understanding, hey, that you guys, just because you're coming to a Christian campus doesn't mean it's not a huge mission field right in front of you. And so your fraternity, your sorority are mission fields for you to go and be engaged in. And so we see it as our role to help equip you and with your faith to be able to go and share that, to be a missionary, to be an example in your fraternity, and to be involved and be leaders on campus. And so there's a lot of different ways that looks, but we know Greek life is definitely an integral part of the Samford experience for many, many students, not for everybody, but we want to be a part of that and more importantly, want Greek students to be a part of the overarching spiritual formation of Samford's campus. So, and there's just a lot of different ways to do that. Obviously, those look different living in a pandemic that we're in right now, and hopefully those will evolve and become even more clear over the next year and throughout your 4 years for those coming in as freshmen. But we are excited. We want you to know that we're here for you guys. We love you guys. And we're excited to be able to do ministry and partner together, from Greek life to spiritual life to just being one as Samford students and faculty. So
that's awesome. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm excited to hear from the students and hear a little bit about their faith and Greek journey. So we'll start with Jarece. I know that you are a very outgoing person. You have a lot of friendships, and your circles for social life are very, very strong. You're very involved. So can you talk to us about your experience incorporating faith into your friendships and your circles of social life, sorority life, that type of thing?
I think the biggest thing is is before you come to college, we kind of already have our routine set of, we go to church on Sunday, we go to church on a Wednesday. And I think the major thing is when you get out and you're kind of on your own, that you don't lose sight of that routine, although it may be a little hard, because there are days where you're like, oh, I'm slammed with studying and I'd rather go do this and that. But you don't want to get so far away that you're like, oh, well, I'll just forget church, or just forget Bible study, or just forget, small group and stuff like that. And I think that's where you have to kind of like time management. And if you made time for it before you came to Samford, then I suggest that, it's a big deal in your family. So therefore make time for it while you're at Samford. And I think especially going to a private, Christian university, it's so easy to easily make time for that versus going to a bigger university. It can be a little harder to drift away. And I think that was the major thing that I had to struggle with. I have friends and stuff that may be like, hey, we can do this instead of, you can sleep in late on a Sunday and we can go eat later. And, it's just so easy to get caught in that excitement of things that you can easily lose track of your faith. But I think, like, for me, since I grew up in a faith-instilled home and church was like a main thing, like if you can go to the movies on a Saturday night, you can go to church on a Sunday morning, which is how I was raised. And so when I came to Samford, it was like, okay, I may not be used to this type of church or this atmosphere, but I don't think that you should steer away from anything because it makes you uncomfortable. And I don't think, because especially coming from a small town in Alabama, Oxford, Alabama, to Birmingham, there are a bunch of mega churches to where I'm not used to the mega churches. And then I come and I'm like, oh, is this, where do I sit? Like, I don't know half the people I'm talking to, but it's you know what, sometimes it's okay to be uncomfortable because those are some of the best places that you form some of the best relationships. And I think even stepping out of your comfort zone, that does open the door for you to have a more actively involved like social life and build friendships and relationships that you probably would have never thought of before. So I think mainly just don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to tell your friends, hey, I can't do this or that because I have to go to, it's nothing that you should be ashamed of. And it's okay to just stick to that normal routine if you're used to it. And I hope that answers the question. But I'm a communications major, so I can just talk for days. So.
That's great. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
All right, Sarah. So we will send it to you. Talk to us about how through your sorority you've grown spiritually, how that has been an active part of your faith journey.
Yeah, I really like this question because my freshman year, I was not involved in Greek life. And so I've kind of seen both sides, and I've seen how over the last 3 years, Greek life has benefited me so much in that area of developing my faith. I think the primary way that I've been benefited by my sorority is just having automatic community. When you are joining Greek life, you're joining an organization with similar beliefs that you hold dear to you, and they will fight to uphold those beliefs in your life. I have been surrounded with community who encourages me, who holds me accountable, who pushes me to greater levels. And so that's something that you just automatically get when you do join Greek life. I have found my core group of friends, and we do a weekly Bible study in the CAF. And that sounds so cheesy, but I'm serious. And I found the girls who I go to church with. And you're just automatically given community. And then within all Greek organizations, they're, like Todd said, he was a chaplain of his fraternity. So there are chaplains and organizations who lead weekly devotionals, and they support and organize Bible studies. And I know within my sorority, we have like monthly events hosted by our chaplains that are focused on different ideas. And then also I am on the Greek leadership board. This will be my second year on the board, but we're basically just a joint organization that kind of connects all areas of Greek life. So MPHC, Panhellenic, and IFC. And we host campus-wide events for all of Greek life. And also when I was a freshman and not in Greek life, I still attended one of our big events, which is the Greek speaker. Mm-hmm. We have one each semester, and then we also have a speaker for each grade. And what those talks are, they're faith-based. As a Greek board, we sit down and we think like, what do freshmen need to hear at this semester of their life? What do sophomores need to hear? What is a message that would be important to them? What did I need to hear? And how can we help them and encourage them? And so there really is so many ways to be encouraged just by being involved in Greek life. That has truly helped me develop my faith. I can say I have majorly grown through being involved in Greek life.
That's awesome. We have a few other board members. So Jarece has been on the board. Jarece, you served a year with us. And do you have a favorite Greek board memory that connects to a faith experience?
I want to say there's been so many things that I've had to do to just go to, especially on behalf of MPHC, because we're so small. So you just have to, show your presence there. But I think the main one was probably Ben Stewart.
Yeah, he was great.
Because I sat next to Luis during that, which was pretty interesting, but it just allowed you to kind of come together in a way that I probably would have never come together with other Greeks outside of MPHC before. And It just kind of shows you that there is a such thing as, Greek unity, even outside of your councils. So I think that was major for me.
That's great.
That was a good one.
Great. Okay, Sam, since Jarece brought up Ben Stewart, if you don't know who Ben Stewart is, he's a pastor and someone that Sam actually brought to us. Sam was on the very first year of the Greek Leadership Board, and the board was started with the idea of really putting faith as a focus for all Greek students, not just any particular chapters. And so I think we prayed for Ben Stewart about 2.5 years to get him to campus, and it finally happened last year, and it was such a great experience to have worship all together, all the Greeks, and then hear an awesome gospel message from him. Sam, any thoughts on your man Ben?
Yeah, can I it kind of ties into my advice that I'd share. So do you mind if I
you go
ahead
ahead
with that?
While you're unmuted. Do it.
I am off the plane, so I'm good to answer any other questions you have for me as well, Julie. But I guess what I would share about Ben is actually, it's so funny that you bring it up. It's actually what was on my heart. I'll take it back to the Old Testament. 1 Kings 18 says, "And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, Go, present yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the earth." And you're probably like, what the heck does that mean? And I was just reading this on the plane. And if you flip a few chapters over, I don't remember, I think it's probably 2 or 3, you'll see that when Elijah actually does present himself to Ahab, can you guys still hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Sorry. What I would share to the freshmen coming in is don't grow weary of your promise. I love that God speaks. That's the first and foremost important thing. That's what I did not know when I came into college, is that God will speak to you. Yes, he'll speak to you through his word, but he'll speak to you through other people. He'll speak to you through his Holy Spirit. He will give you ideas and download things to you, that still small voice that we're all ever searching for in the craziness of this world. Listen to that, because that was what happened to me. Is God spoke to me, not audibly, but as close to probably audibly as I've ever heard, that change was going to come about at Samford. And it took 2.5 years. It took not growing weary on my promise, is saying, I could have given up. I could have stopped. We could have stopped. But then the doors finally opened for Ben to come in. And I know so many people's lives who were touched that night, who were moved by just bringing him on. And that would be my advice, is first pray for a promise. Pray for a word from the Lord coming in to college, saying, Lord, what can I do? And if it's bigger, if it's intimidating, if you can't do it on your own, if you are like, holy crap, that is definitely, like, I would never think of that. Like, that's God speaking to you. And my advice on that would just be act on it. Become friends with Luis and Julie. That was like one of the best decisions that I ever made. Rush. Like, you will meet so many awesome, awesome people. And just never stop. Like, Samford, I Samford is a community where I didn't find it's a community of great people, and you're going to have friends freshman year, you're going to have friends sophomore year, you're going to have friends junior year, you're going to have friends senior year. Truthfully for me, I didn't find the guys that, I will call my best friends, who I'll be friends with for the rest of my life until I got to my senior year. And that's not to be like, oh my gosh, he didn't have friends for 4 years. I just had different friends across those years. And I learned, I love that it was just touched on, like the Greek unity. Like I had friends in every organization across the board. And that was what was truly beautiful, is we all had these different experiences through pledge trip, through high school, through just our own college experiences, through our different majors. And all of that to wrap up, because I know I'm just blabbing at this point. I could talk for forever about this, but like really staying true to what God has spoken to you and surrounding yourself with people who say that I can confirm that resonates in my heart, and I want to partner with you to do that. And if you get yourself, I came to Julie with this and said, hey, this is on my heart. And she said, I bear witness with that. I agree. Let's do that. And she was someone who would call me and say, hey, what tangible steps are we taking towards that this week? And I was like, oh, wow, I don't know. Let me get back to you. And would come and prepare steps and, surround yourself with those people.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Sam. Even though you've recently graduated, you definitely care about the hearts and faith of our Samford students. So thank you. I'm going to send it to Luis, and he's going to reach out to John Cody.
Thanks. Yes. We want to hear from John Cody now. So John Cody, tell us about some of your personal spiritual disciplines. Do you have any faith routines, disciplines, rituals that maybe you brought from home that you grew up with, or even developed at Samford while you've been a student? And how do you encourage others with that?
Yeah. So I would say that I think Samford's a place where you can really learn that. It's a place where you're learning about how God has designed you, and so there are people that you can walk with through the things that you're learning about yourself. And I don't think there's like a perfect way that looks. It's not a formula. It's personal. And so but I'll say that like my time at Samford, especially this past year, the Lord just like did a lot in showing me, okay, like this is this is important, really carving out time for me. And if you really want to seek intimacy with me, this is one of the ways that it can look like, and so I think it can look like through his word, through community, and I honestly think that through his word is honestly one of the most impactful and powerful ways, because they are God's words, and they speak life, they give life. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's awesome, John Cody. Thanks for saying, it looks different for everyone. I think that's encouraging for sure. So, all right, back to Jarece. If you had one little quick tidbit of advice to freshmen who are interested in growing their faith, what would you say?
I would say mainly, don't get discouraged if on your first Sunday on campus that you don't find your church home. Don't let that stop you, because I have friends who found it instantly. And then me, I was like, oh, I told you how my hometown was more full of small town church, smaller churches. So don't let that stop you or get in the way of you wanting to grow your faith or deepen your spiritual life or your spiritual growth, just because you don't find the perfect church home just yet. I just think don't let that stop you. Just keep looking, because there are so many options, so many ways to get involved, and so many people that are willing to help you, to where you shouldn't just want to just give up because it's not clicking right away. And everything just doesn't work on.
I think she froze up. Can y'all still hear me? We're good? All right. Okay, Sarah, how about you? What tidbit of advice would you have for freshmen looking to grow their faith?
I think I would say two things. I would say one, just do it. I would say, like Jarece was kind of talking about, it is easy to make excuses. It's easy to be like, okay, once I'm adjusted to my schedule, then I'll find a church. Once I find a campus ministry, then I'll plug in. It's so easy to make excuses, but you will see the most fruit if you just dive in blindly, if you just find a church. I went to a lot of church my freshman year. I didn't find my home church until my second semester, but now that I found it, I have just dove into finding a community group. Seek out mentorship. That's my other big piece of advice. When you come to campus, you will have so many people from every area who want to pour into you. They genuinely do. And so accept that and let them and seek that out because there's a lot of wise counsel at Samford. In the Birmingham community and in all the church communities, there are people who care about you. They want to pour into you.
Yeah.
So don't just cruise by because it's easy to do that. I'm going to be a senior and I know how easy it could have been to just cruise by and not plug into a church, not seek out older, wiser counsel. But that is my biggest piece of advice. Just do it. And also just seek out those people who want to pour into you because they truly do and they will.
That's good. All right, John Cody, your tidbit of advice for freshmen looking to grow deeper in their faith, what would it be?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing to recognize is like coming into college, your faith really has to become your own. And so you are, you're in this time of life and like this is something that I can decide right now that I'm, going to make important in my life. And or I can, kind of take a dip in the water and then take a sip when I need it and, not be fully immersed. And I'll just say, for me, I'll just say like, I was really overwhelmed trying a lot of churches and trying all of that out because there's just so much to get involved in. And so, but I'll just say that, going back, looking back, it's so important to be invested in by a church. But I mean, I'll also say like, our spiritual life. Like I remember my freshman year, really like seeking out people who, their job and their desire, their longing that the Lord has given them to reach and speak into people's lives and allowing God to, use them in your life. But really like, I think finding a church, you're really making it a mission to find a church like your first semester, definitely first year I would say is huge because that is where, where you get plugged in. And, it's just really unique when you have kind of a family, like away from just like home and everything that, like I'll tell you when I was sick, I had like the flu this past like spring and my church like came and brought me food and took care of me. And I'll just say like, that's just a tiny picture of what really like, the Christian community should look like. And just don't take that for granted. Like definitely dive into it.
That's awesome. Thank you, John Cody. I think something that I'd love to say that I've heard from all of you is, get plugged into the local church, which I love and agree. And that also means that could be some of your sorority sisters or fraternity brothers, but it doesn't end there. Like your Greek letters don't define you and they don't define your faith journey. It is incorporated and a part of the Greek experience here at Samford, but it doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to grow spiritually more in one group over the other. I think that's really important to say. And I think you've all demonstrated that through, your own personal experiences. Luis, before we move to the chat, which maybe some folks will put some questions in the chat for us, you were a campus minister in your previous life before working in Greek life. So do you have any advice or just things that you would like to share for freshmen in regards to Greek life and faith? coming together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity to share. First and foremost, I agree with everything our students have said and our staff members as well. I think that's all very important. I wholeheartedly believe the importance of getting planted into a local church. But my biggest piece of advice would be just to remain in the truth. I think whatever that may look like for you, it could be, writing down verses on a big piece of paper, hang up on your wall, or setting a reminder on your phone. But I think just not letting go of truth, because there are times in college when you're transitioning to just the newness of the schedule and making friends and finding your place. You might get discouraged, you might grow weary, and just don't let go of the goodness of God and His promises, and just the encouraging truth that He has given us in Scripture. So I think just find people who are going to remind you of truth and will hold you accountable and call you out whenever you need to hear it. I think that's really important. So I think, just find your people and just find a way that you will be reminded of the truth of the Word. However that works for you. It could be through worship music, could be through seeing it visually. And I also think there's some great other opportunities on campus as well. Like finding a Bible study, doing a cadre, go to Convo, all those great things.
Go to Convo, whatever that looks like. Go to Convo,
Yeah.
John, Cody, and I are giving you the claps.
Thank you.
We agree. All right. Luis, do you see any questions for us?
Yeah, we do have a couple of questions. So I can ask them, and then Office of Spiritual Life staff, if you want to jump in on these, please do. So one question from Emily Ann is, are there spiritual groups on campus? If so, how will they be this year regarding all the COVID-19 restrictions?
I'll jump in on that just real quick. The short answer is we don't have a clue yet how anything's going to be on campus with restrictions, because those are still coming out.
Yeah.
There are a couple of different groups. Some of those are student organized. Some are campus outreach is there. RUF is there. We have an FCA group. There's several others, along with what the Office of Spiritual Life puts together. But the longer answer of what things are going to look like, we will know more probably the week or two before. And there are so many questions about that on so many different fronts. And I have heard that there will be some communication going out there in early August on all of those things. So we just all keep waiting so we can hear those answers soon.
Thank you. Awesome. And then similarly, our next question has to do with Greek life and recruitment. So Julie, do we have any updates on what recruitment might look like because of COVID?
Bobby's right. And I think a lot of Samford staff are saying the same things, that we don't know exactly what things will look like in regards to logistics, or maybe how many people can be in a room at one time together. What I think any Samford staff member would say is that we are committed to having an awesome experience, whether that's in Greek life or in a worship setting. I think a lot of things will be, shifted to small group format because of being able to social distance. So Greek life is thinking through logistics and how we can maybe break things down smaller, number-wise, to still have conversations for recruitment on the men and the women's side, but still prioritize health and safety. So some of those logistical things and operations are still being tweaked and still worked out, but we are committed to, having a great experience where people can cultivate connection at the end of the day. So we are still hopeful for new member classes for all of the Greek chapters. We will say that. So.
Absolutely. And a logistical piece, if you do register for recruitment, you will get updates via email. So
yeah, absolutely.
Sure you do that and you'll hear from us. Okay, I definitely want to point everyone to some resources now.
All right.
So maybe starting with Bobby, Mallory, Todd, whoever wants to jump in, how can these students reach you guys if they want to learn more about your office, or how you can help them plug in, and also, whether it be email or is there a social media account so they can look at, just keep up with you guys?
I'm going to actually defer to Mallory. I'm going to let her speak to that. She helps to run our Instagram account too. So.
Yes. Yeah. So I'll put our Instagram in the chat if that works, but it's easy to find. A Samford OSL, Office of Spiritual Life, is what to look for. And that's just updates, things that we're doing, things that you may want to be involved in. And then Bobby already said this, but just start getting in the habit of checking your emails, because that's how so many of the communications are going to go out, and that's not always maybe your first response, but go ahead and just get in the habit of doing that, because you'll get all of that information through email. But I will put our handle in the chat so that you can find us on Instagram.
Awesome.
Great. Julie, do you have any resources on our end with Greek life that you want to share?
So same as Bobby says, I'm not the social media person. That is all Luis. So thank you, Luis, for running our social media accounts. But at Samford Greeks is the main account, and then you can find all of the at Samford Panhellenic, Samford IFC, and Samford NPHC. So follow all 4 of those accounts. So yes.
Yes.
And I see Emma asked about Young Life. I don't know if I'm able to answer how big is Young Life leadership at Samford. Who might be the right person to answer that for us? John Cody, are you in Young Life? I'm
not actually.
Oh, okay.
But I have a lot of friends actually who are a part of it, and
awesome.
There's a large amount of people who are involved with Young Life, and so it is there's a good amount of people.
Good deal. Awesome. Luis, any other resources for us?
Yeah, I'd say definitely check out our website. A lot of great information on there. If you want to know some more logistics about dates and things, finances, anything like that, go to the samford.edu/Greek life. I know OSL has their own webpage as well, so you can just kind of search Office of Spiritual Life in the search bar, and you'll find that as well. And then obviously, like Mallory and Bobby and Julie have all mentioned, email is important. Definitely want to get used to that. So you can email Julie and I at greeklife@samford.edu, and we'd be happy to connect with you that way too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am so grateful to our spiritual life team. I'm excited to get to know all of you, Todd and Mallory, as y'all are embarking on your new Samford journey. And thank you to the students and freshmen and parents who are here. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. We're praying for you as we look towards fall 2020. So thanks so much, and y'all have a great evening.